Step one, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Crypto, where we turn your early hours in the morning into your edge in financial freedom. Today, I've got a few headlines about the Bank of Japan, about our interest rate decisions, and one about Bitcoin. So, let's dive on in to that stock heat map and get you prepped for some success today. I do have a little bit of a mixed bag that I'm seeing this morning. And that pre-market, we are seeing Apple down 0.14 from its close, in the pre-market down 0.62. We do have Nvidia sitting up a 5.21, and in the pre-market up 0.53. I see y'all are saying it sounds good today. Yep, I didn't get my new mic set up. I will be getting a boom arm today, and hopefully we can get that new mic going for tomorrow's show, and the week out on something new. So thank you for that. We've got Berkshire Hathaway up 1.33, and in the pre-market seeing some light buying pressure up 0.06. We do have Amazon sitting down from its close, down 2.43, and in the pre-market up a 0.41% so far. We've got Eli Lilly making some pretty nice gains. From its close, it is up a 1.95, and in the pre-market up a whopping 2.59%. We do have ExxonMobil in that neutral range, down 0.07, and in the pre-market seeing some slight buying pressure, up 0.28. We do have Tesla sitting down quite heavy from its close yesterday, down 3.58, and in the pre-market seeing some continued sell-off, down 1.75. We do have P&G also sitting in that neutral range, up a 0.52 from its close, and the pre-market sitting down just a smidge, down 0.04. We do have Microsoft sitting in that neutral range as well, up 0.22, and in the pre-market seeing some light selling pressure, down 0.02. We've got Google in a massive downtrend. It has been selling off quite hard, and in the pre-market no different than yesterday. It is sitting down a 6.94 on its close, and sitting down at 0.55 in the pre-market. We've got Meta sitting in that neutral range, up 0.1 from its close, and in the pre-market sitting down 0.3 right now. For the crypto side of things, we are looking pretty green. We've got Bitcoin up at 2.45, Ethereum up a 0.72. We've got XRP up at 2.81. We've got Solana sitting up 2.37. We've got BNB up a 1.75. We've got Cardano up 3.15. Doge is up 2.81. And to wrap out the top 10, we've got Tron sitting up a 4.35. We've got Avalanche up 2.43. We've got Sweet up a 4.02. And we've got Stellar Lumens up at 2.95. We do have Toncoin up 2.28 and HBAR up 3.07 as well. For the morning, looking pretty green, but it also looks like Bitcoin might just be going to the upside to grab some liquidity. So we will have to take a look at that chart here in a second. We did just get a interest rate decision from the United Kingdom. That was a interest rate cut. They were sitting at 4.75, and it dropped to 4.5. So we might see a little bit of weakness coming in the Dixie today. We also do have a little bit of heavy data coming out here at 8:30 from the United States, and this will be some job data. We've got initial jobless claims, continuing jobless claims, non-farm productivity quarter over quarter, and unit labor costs quarter over quarter. We are looking at a mixed bag for that data. We are looking at a increase on those initial jobless claims and a revision to the upside on the continuing jobless claims. So might be a little bit of a hard hitting data morning. Some of that other data is looking a little mixed though. That non-farm productivity is decreasing just a little bit. Also not some good data, and that unit labor cost is increasing as well from 0.8% to 3.4%. So a lot of things that could drag the market down this morning. We also do have some Fed chair speaking later in the day that will be starting this afternoon at 2:30. We also have another one coming out at 3:30 and the Fed balance sheet at 4:30. We will be having some data out of Japan at 6:30. That's going to be that household spending month over month and year over year. This is something they've been keeping their eyes on, especially with their wants to keep hiking rates. You are looking at an increase, a decrease on that spending month over month and an increase on household spending year over year, which is kind of what they want to see. They want to see more people being able to spend money, especially as they are increasing wages. It gives them a little bit of breathing room to keep hiking those rates. Let's hop over to those fear and greeds for today. We've got the stock market sitting at 40 and fear. I do expect if we see some continued sell-off off of some bad data this morning that we head a little bit lower on that stock market side of things. My eye has been on that extreme fear side, especially as we've got a big market shakeup with the new administration. We are sitting back at that neutral range on the crypto side of things, down 5 points after we got a heavy dip and are looking to try to make some recovery on Bitcoin. Let's take a look at that liquidation heat map. Let me give it a little refresh. That was from a little bit about 30 minutes ago. So we've tried to make another push to this liquidity on the top side for the daily. We've got that starting at 99,300, almost that 400 range there, sitting at 99,380 and goes all the way up to 99,889. So a broad hotspot to the top side of us. That'd be an easy grab for the morning. We do have some liquidity sitting to the bottom side of us on this 3-day. That hotspot to the top side is in that range we talked about on the daily. And we've got a nice little hotspot sitting down here at 95,800. That's right around the range I've talked about quite a bit here on the show. We do have a lot of liquidity to the top side of us on these higher term time frames, which is kind of what you want to see. We do want to clear out a lot of that bottom side liquidity and be able to make that push back to the top side without too much liquidity to really drag us back down. We've got that 1 week liquidity zone sitting at that 102,700,000. It runs all the way up to 103,200. If you zoom that on out to that 2 week, it also looks quite the same, except that liquidity zone is a little bit higher. It's going to be that 106,650 and another little hotspot at that 107,250 range. So looking nice for those higher term time frames. Just have some light liquidity to the bottom side of us on that 2-day, 3-day, under a week chart on there where we could drag things back down just a little bit. I see the chat is moving quite a bit this morning. We've got Alexander G in the house, Jesse Gulak in here. We've got Paul Caruso saying good morning everyone. Let's have a profitable and peaceful day. That is the goal every day. We've got Jay Violet in the chat. Good morning to you. We've got Duality Crypto with that up, waving hand, saying hello. Good morning to you. We've got Donato Cabrera in here. We've got Crypto Billy. Good morning to you. If y'all haven't checked out his morning motivational video, I dropped that link in the chat. It is, scroll all the way up. It is up there at the top. We've got Moho in the chat. Good morning to you. We've got Retro Mike Tech as well. There we go. Hope you're having a great day, RMT. Let's see. Anyone else that I'm missing? Looks like no one else. All right. Well, I hope you're having a great day so far. Let's hop over to that Bitcoin chart. Kind of see what we're looking at for the morning. I do see the 4 hour getting to a point where it is needing some more liquidity to kind of push us to the top side. You're getting a bit of a rollover here on your buying pressure, as we are sitting at a range where we could kind of get a bit of some rollover here on your prime oscillator, and your MACD's got some nice curvature here as we're bumping up against this range where our liquidity's sitting, which is also that 236, and an area where we've got some nice launches off of in the past and has been some resistance before. So this is why I've been looking at that 236 quite heavily. If we want to continue to the upside, we will need to get above that and turn that into some support here on these higher term time frames. This 4 hour has a little bit more room to run to the top side before we really start seeing that drag back down. We do have that 1 hour sitting at some topping points. We haven't got any reversal signals. Oh, it actually just flashed. I was looking at that before I started the show, and it looks like that first reversal signal just flashed here on the hourly. We are very green on this prime oscillator, and money flow is still on the way in here as our volume is trying to hold steady, but we are waiting for that reversal signal to kind of come into play here. We are printing a red candle here. If we can get a little bit of a brief bounce here with some equal candle bodies around that 98,400, maybe bottom side being that 98,100 range, would be a nice little push back up to here, get a secondary reversal signal to flash on our prime oscillator as some money flow kind of decides what they want to do, and that could drag things back down just a little bit, where we have this liquidity sitting down here at that 95,300 range. This has been a key area from way back here. We've got some nice resistance, and we did get a little bit of a launch off of it as well when we got to the top side. Got the same thing right here where we got that brief little pullback and a launch off of it in that area, trying to reconfirm it as some support. Haven't done that here just yet, so could be another little move to see before we really try to claim that 236 as some strong support. We do have the 15-minute looking quite toppy as well. You've stacked up a divergence. Your money flow is holding steady here, so we are trying to keep that above some of these lows. We are moving more sideways as this money flow is coming in. So expect a lot of bear pressure, especially with some of the data that we'll be getting later. This is a nice quick run up to the 99,300 range where we've got all that liquidity and a nice little last push as we try to wait and see some more curvature here on our prime oscillator. We did get a little bit of curvature here back about an hour ago, where we tried to make that continued push back to the top side. And this is where you've seen the bears winning just a little bit. If we can cool this oscillator off just a little bit, wait for that MACD to kind of see if it's going to hit that full continued cross to the downside, which is looking like what it's doing so far for the morning, you might see that little bit of a strong bounce as we try to maintain the levels, and the bears and bulls try to fight it out to get that top side liquidity before really going for that bottom side. Might leave that open if we do see continued selling pressure and money flow roll over here on the 15-minute. Try to grab that bottom side liquidity instead and then run it back up to the top. If we can get above this and turn it as into some support here over the next day, we've got a lot of room to run here. You do have a bit of a range here at that $100,000, and which is a psychological level where we might again see some resistance before we really try to blast back up to that 102 700, where some of that weekly liquidity was sitting. All right, I see the chat's moving. Dave Digital in the house. We've got Randy Bite as well. French Toaster, good morning to you all. We've got Jesse Gulak saying, did we all hit the like button yet? No, it's all free and helps the channel. So if you didn't, please do it now. Thank you, Jesse Gulak. We've got Dave, you trying to take Wick's job with the poetry? Oh, there he goes. Turned on the YouTube, and what did I see? Degens and Degens looking at me. BC Port Corp on the TV from Army Piper Network. Crypto content tree. Ah, I like that one. I might have to copy that one. Let's see. Let's see if I can copy that one. I'll do it later. All right. Any alt requests we got for today? Because my headlines are quite short. I did have a few assets that I was wanting to show you, and a potential trade move on the futures markets that I caught last night before close. So definitely have a few things to share, but got plenty of time to dive into some alt projects. We've got Warren G in the chat. Good morning to you. Let's hop over to some of those news articles. We've got quite a bit. We've got Bank of Japan's Tamura makes his case again for faster interest rate hikes. Bank of Japan board member Tamura Nakoma at a meeting with local lenders in Nagano worried that sharp rises in rice prices coupled with inflation exceeding 2% lasting for nearly 3 years could hurt consumption. Output gap may already effectively be in positive territory as supply constraints put upward pressure on prices. Corporate and household inflation expectations are heightening, having roughly reached levels around 2%. Upward price risks are building. The Bank of Japan must raise rates to levels deemed neutral on a nominal basis, which is around 1%. And we're sitting at about half of that, and getting to that point would definitely bring some strength back into the dollar and negate some of these inflation pressures they're seeing. The Bank of Japan must raise rates at least 1% in the latter half of fiscal 2025. The Bank of Japan must raise rates in several stages in a timely fashion while scrutinizing what the appropriate short-term rate level could be for the economy. Even if the Bank of Japan hikes rates 2.75, real interest rates remain deeply negative. And this is a big part of why you saw the Japan carry trade even start happening. They were at nominal negative interest rates, so it was basically free to borrow money. People don't think that we can say the Bank of Japan's past massive monetary easing had a positive effect as a whole, given strong side effects. Must scrutinize whether prolonged monetary easing could cause problems, such as excessive yen falls and housing price spikes. Bank of Japan shouldn't persist in achieving 2% inflation per se, as long as Japan is experiencing moderate price rises. And this is something we've talked about here in America as well. Maybe that 2% target might shift just a little bit. And as you kind of see here, this is that US dollar versus Japanese yen, and we'll take a look at that chart a little bit later. This next article is going to be a little blinding here, so I'm sorry about that. There is no dark mode on this one. Bank of Japan talking about the wage growth supports the Bank of Japan's rate hikes. Labor cash earnings rose more than expected in December and November. Figures were all revised upwards. If Shunto results are as strong as last year's, we expect the Bank of Japan to hike by 25 basis points as early as May. And this is something I've been talking about as well. Labor cash earnings rose more than expected in December with upward revisions in November. Labor cash earnings growth, 4.8% year on year, were stronger than expected, mostly due to strong bonuses and an increase in the minimum wage. But base earnings rose steadily by 2.5% for a second month. Real cash earnings rose 0.6%, following a 0.5% gain in November, despite the recent pickup in inflation. We believe that real cash earnings are likely to stay positive in the coming months, which will eventually lead to consumption growth. More importantly, the same sample base earnings, which is preferred measure of the Bank of Japan, rose even stronger to 5.2% versus a revised 3.7% in November. 3.6% was market consensus. Base earnings have risen about 2.9% for the past 3 months, which is quite close to the Bank of Japan's view on sustainable wage growth of 3%. And this is something that they've been watching quite heavily to incentivize their rate hike decisions. Will definitely negate some of those hiking of rates, and this is kind of why they feel safer to do so and speed that up, especially since they want to get that to that net negative zero on their interest rates, which is considerably higher than they've been at for a long time. We've got Fed Jefferson says, happy to keep Fed funds rate on hold at current rate. Federal Reserve Vice Chair President Philip Jefferson says need to look at the totality of net effect of Trump administration's influence on policy goals, and he's happy to keep the policy at current levels of restrictiveness until there's a better sense of the totality of impacts. Even if the rate was 100 basis points lower, it would still be restrictive. This allows us to be patient and wait and see the net effect of policy changes. He argues that he wants to hold rates restrictive until the ramifications of new policies become clear. So definitely something we will probably continue to see. We do have more Fed chairs speaking today. We had a lot of consensus along this opinion that the Fed chairs would like to hold rates at their current rate, kind of wait for the dust to settle, especially since there's the potential of a trade war to be happening on more of a global scale. Trump has talked about wanting to do 10% flat tariffs on most of the world, and a few outliers where people have tried to get around tariffs and do their manufacturing in Mexico and then import it to the U.S. That country might get hit with higher tariffs, the same as Canada, and we're looking at potentially higher tariffs on Canada or on China as things heat up there. They did slap us back with some tariffs, so things are just getting started. We have some Bitcoin sell pressure could ramp up after a 497,000 Bitcoin on-chain move. Bitcoin is facing an uneventful few days with the crypto asset dropping under 100,000 and triggering an industry-wide liquidation event worth over $2 billion. The community was hopeful about David Sacks' digital asset press conference on February 4th, but the Trump administration crypto czar delivered a diplomatic speech about a potential Bitcoin strategic reserve. Sacks stated that the U.S. president's current directive is to evaluate evaluate the feasibility and of establishing a Bitcoin reserve, which some commenters argue differs from Trump's campaign promise. Consequently, the odds of a U.S. national Bitcoin reserve in 2025 dropped to 47% on Polymarket. For 49,700 Bitcoin spent may create selling pressure. XBT's manager, a Bitcoin analyst, pointed out over the past 24 hours, a total of 49,700 Bitcoin from 6 to 12 month spent output band SOAB has been spent. The Bitcoin SOAB analyzes the period before which dormant coins were last moved. The Bitcoin supply in context was last spent over 6 to 12 months ago. This might be bringing some more selling pressure to Bitcoin. We'll kind of have to keep our eyes out over the next month if a lot of this actually gets moved on chain to be sold, or if it's just in preparation for that next leg to the upside. Piper talked about with the Bollinger Bands restricting that there might be some potential moves to the upside. I've also talked about stable coins, how they've increased a lot of their supply, which might indicate some buying pressure here coming soon. This is kind of the move you see. Not sure announcements coming. French Toaster, the original pop-up notification. Billy, I think we can buy more ADA on in the upcoming months. Well, there's been quite a bit of sell-off. Let's get back over to that Bitcoin. Kind of take a look at Bitcoin dominance. It has been moving to the upside as we've seen the whole market kind of selling off. This does look quite nice for Bitcoin, and kind of extends the potential for Bitcoin's run up as we do give, and it gives you a little more time to buy some of those alts here. We are at those levels where we topped out last time before we really saw that move back down, and we're really looking to try to turn this into some support and move back to the upside, which gives you some more time to buy some alts here. I did talk about wanting to see a potential of some top side around that 65% level, which we ended up falling just short of at about that 64.4%. So definitely have one last push we could make with Bitcoin, creating some more dominance before we really get that alt season. Got Museum of Corruption in the house, dropping those coffee cups. All right, let me hop over to some of the things I was looking at for today. We do have the Russell 2000 sitting in a nice fair value gap here, looking to try to get that pushback to the upside here. We've got 2,322, which is going to be a slight resistance area if we do get that pushback up there, with our prime oscillator looking a little bit toppy, but no reversal signals flashing. You might see that drag back down here to our midline, 2,297, before we really try to get back up there. If we are able to get back up there with some heavy money flow, turn this into some support, you've got that top side of the range being 2,341. Let's hop over to gold. I've been watching gold quite heavily, and we did get quite close to the move that I was wanting to see. I did say there was the potential to drop back down to the top side of this Fibonacci extension. We wicked just below it before we really got that move back up. We do have a strong resistance area at 2,880, and that's going to be that first area where we will need to turn into some support before we try to make that push back up to this 1,618 and 2,902. We are sitting at a little bit of an order block here where we've had a lot of battling. Just gonna need to see if we can get that continued money flow. We did cool off that prime oscillator as well as the MACD, so it kind of bodes well for a continued run up on gold and making some new all-time highs. I see Harp in the chat. Good morning to you. Hope you're having a great day so far. I was looking at copper yesterday. We talked about it in the Discord. If you're not a member of the Discord, go ahead and check out that link in the description. We do a lot there. This was part of our free section where we've got a weekly meeting where we talk about things, we ask questions, we get to answer your questions one-on-one. So we do a lot in the Discord, and this is something I pulled up last night. I wanted to get some views from both Piper and OC, and they kind of correlated with something I was looking at. We do have copper here making a move to the upside of a resistance line. You can kind of see that your MACD has a little bit more room to run. It is getting some light curvature here on the 4 hour. You've got some reversal signals starting to flash on the 4 hour as well, but your money flow is looking quite nice. Volume's getting a little bit of a rollover here as well, but if you can see that shorter term time frame coming in with some strong money flow here on your shorter term time frame, as you can kind of see that 15-minute is at that point where you could start getting that pushback up to the upside and bump up against some resistance here as you wait for those higher term time frames to kind of cool off. Here's that 1 hour. It has already been cooling off, and that's kind of where I was looking. Seeing this bounce back here at the trend line or a 50% Fibonacci extension before you really get that high blast off back to some highs that we haven't been at in a while, around that $4.60 range. That would kind of be that area I would look to take some profits on that. If you do get a pushback above that, you've got a lot of room to run back up to about $4.70, where there's a lot of resistance running from back here, where we really got the candle body closes here and had an outlier wick. So that'd be that secondary little take a profit area I would look for copper. If we can confirm this as some strong support, get that move back to the upside. Hourly money flow is getting a light rollover here, but it is still in the green as your volume is kind of holding steady here in this range, looking to get that pushback up. I was taking a look at silver as well. Silver has been looking like it wants to consolidate here in this upward trend. You've got a key area of resistance right above us and a long-term running support line that we finally got back above, and it's looking like we are consolidating here in this range, which might bode well for a nice push to the upside, especially with how cool these oscillators have gotten, even though we've continued to see upward momentum here. Got your 1 hour with a very strong reversal signal as the prime oscillator just went from red to light red when it got that curve back to the upside. MACD looking like it's ready to cross that indicator line and blast through that zero line if we can get some continued money flow to come in on silver. Might see a little bit of some resistance here at that $33.30. Make another little retest of this support line before we really blast back out of this and go to levels we haven't seen in quite a while. Got your 4 hour looking like it needs a little more cool off to get that push to the upside, and your daily sitting at a nice range to continue to run. So midterm might need a little bit of a cool off. You've got that daily prime oscillator getting a bit of some curvature here, but your money flow is starting to pick up on that daily. Selling pressure really dying off as your volume is holding steady, which means that there's quite a bit of buying going on. Your prime oscillator not seeing a secondary reversal signal here on the daily, as it is getting a bit of some curvature, so seeing a nice little bounce back at that trend line that I was looking at before we really blast back out. try to go to levels we haven't been at in quite a while. That first little resistance area looking like $33.78. All right, let's hop over to the Dixie. I was watching that this morning, especially since we were getting a Bank of England interest rate decision, which might drop the dollar just a little bit further. They did cut rates, and you are looking a bit toppy here on the 1 hour. Prime oscillators got some overbought signals flashing. You got a reversal signal going. Your prime oscillator just switched to the red. Your volume is starting to pick up, but you've been bumping up against this platinum pocket here and looking to potentially turn it into some resistance. You do have that 15-minute looking quite toppy as well, getting a last little push back up toward this platinum pocket here, 108.13, and that's where I think we see that strong resistance. We've got 3 reversal signals that have flashed. We got one that was completely ignored, one that was completely ignored, one that flashed after we got that push back up, and a lot of divergences have started stacking up here. So definitely some potential for some lower prices on the Dixie. I was taking a look at that JPY pair as well, especially since I had a lot of news articles about it, and it's been dropping off quite heavily. This is just a refresh from yesterday, especially since we had the Bank of Japan coming out with a speech yesterday. I did want to take another look at the Dixie, or at the US dollar JPY pair, and it has been in a downtrend, which means that the Japanese yen is looking quite a bit stronger here. We do have this 382 sitting right below us at 151.54, which would be an area where we might see some brief bouncing, but you've got these oscillators really heating up and moving to the top side as things have been moving down. So looking like you might see a continued downtrend with some brief bounces along the way. If you can make some equal bottoms here at that 151.83, you might see a brief push up to try to reclaim some levels before you really start bouncing up against some strong resistance here at that 153.59 and continue that downside trend. You have a little bit of an area right below that as well, being that 153.16. Let me get that one drawn out because there's a very equal candles here where we got a bounce to the top side and to the bottom side as well. So that'd be that first area we really need to reclaim as support in this pair before we continue that downtrend. I do think with how things are looking with Japan and the United States, that you might be seeing that pair look a little bit weaker against with the dollar losing strength and the yen gaining strength, and that bodes well for carry trade part 2. I have not seen any alt requests in the chat. I see Silver Days XRP in the chat though, so good morning to you, sir. I see French Toaster had to head on out and go to work. Hope you have a great day, French Toaster. Let's see, I just bought more myself, but that's just me. I'm an ADA degen, says Billy. Well, it dropped below $1, so you might have scooped up at a very nice price. I think you might have some more opportunities to buy here soon. Can definitely take a look at ADA as well. Let's see, XRP on the monthly is going to be cheaper again. All right, let's take a look at XRP. I think I took a look at it at the beginning of the week, but it's been a little while. Can take a look at ADA as well. Haven't seen any. ZBEC. I can take a look at that one. Never heard of that one before. So got XRP, ADA. Let's drop that one in the list as well. Any other alt requests? I've got about 20 minutes where I can go over some things. All right, let's take a look at XRP first. We've got XRP losing some key levels I wanted to see held to continue a move to the upside. You did have that for $2.43, which would be that area which would have been quite nice to hold, get that bounce back up to the 236 and turn it into some support. And it looks like we've lost both the 236 and that very strong resistant support area. Let's get that one gone. We've got that hourly looking like we've got a bit of some rollover here on the prime oscillator and the MACD as well. Looking across that indicator line to the bottom side as you've got a volume picking up, and it is some light green volume, but it is looking like this might be that resistance area that I didn't want to kind of see, but it does bode well for some more buying pressure, more good buying zones on XRP. You have quite a bit of an area where we could drop here. The 15-minute does look like it's got plenty of room to run to the downside. MACD just crossing that 0 line, indicator line looking to kind of cross that as well. You've got your prime oscillator, which is cooling off quite quickly here. You've got your True 7 as a heavy red, has not clipped yet and gone to that heavy red like your MACD or like your prime oscillator has, as your volume is rolling over and getting kind of red. Let's take a look at that higher term time frame that you were talking about, Jesse. We've got that daily looking like it's got some more room to run to the downside. Just got those first oversold signals. Your prime oscillator is looking like it's got a bit of some curvature here. Your True 7 just clipped, but you've got a continued selling pressure here on your higher term time frame. Let's zoom that on out to the weekly, kind of see where we're sitting. Weekly looking like it's about to hit that cross of on the MACD, which is something we saw on Bitcoin before we really had that price drop quite heavily on us. Cooling off just a bit here on the prime oscillator. Got a lot of overbought signals. True 7 just getting to that red area as your volume is trying to hold steady. So if it's holding steady and we're seeing some continued selling pressure, yeah, those bears might win out and you might see some lower prices here on XRP. Let's kind of get a reversal, a trend, a fib retracement drawn out from those lows to those highs and hide that fib extension, and looking quite lined up. You've got that 1618 at $1.13, which would be a nasty drop for XRP, but we've already wicked outside of this, kind of got a little bit of a range at $1.63 that we could also find some strong support at. If we can't find some strong support there, if we continue a heavy selling trend, then you've got that 1618, which would be a nice area to really find your footing. Nice buying zone for the long term. We've got ADA as well. Let's take a look at ADA. I haven't done a whole lot with ADA in quite a while. Let's get that all hidden. Let's redraw. Let's get a fib retracement drawn out and delete that one. It is no longer relevant. We've got the lows before that push up here, and we're sitting right above that golden pocket there. Let's get that to a shorter term time frame. Let's lock that first so we don't move our fibs. Lock your fibs, folks. There we go. We are sitting out right above that golden pocket and looking to try to turn it into some support here. Your prime oscillators getting a bit of some rollover as your volume is looking like some continued selling pressure here in this range. With your MACD also getting that rollover here on the bottom side. So might need some more cooling off on both of these before we really get that push back up to the upside. Got your golden pocket being at 70 cents and that would be a nice range to kind of scoop things back up. We did get that brief drop down to the platinum pocket before we got some heavy buying. That was that 53-cent range, which would be an all stops kind of hold there. You do have your 1 hour kind of looking like it's got some more room to go to the downside. Just hit that indicator cross on our MACD as we're looking to cross that zero line as well. You do have your prime oscillator just went from green to red here as it's got that curvature back down, but you've got this nice golden pocket to try to hold us up at. It really just depends on how heavy this selling pressure comes in. You have that 15-minute looking like you might see some bottoming here soon. Got a reversal signal that flashed before we really got that continued move to the downside, and have our first oversold signals. We got a nice strong area kind of here. We're trying to make some equal lows, bottoming out with those candle bodies. Gonna be that 72-cent range. If we can't kind of hold those equal lows there, kind of looks like that golden pocket might come back into play there. You have very strong resistance right above us at that 82 cents and that 50% line on a fib retracement. You've got a nice little area where you might see a bit of some stalling out at about 78 cents as well. Let's kind of take a look at that very high time frame here on the weekly. Looking a lot like XRP there. We got that big run up as well. Hit that cross of our indicator line on the top side. Got that money flow looking like some selling pressure here on your very high term time frame. So really might drop a little bit harder here. This is a short term fib extension to that platinum pocket real bounce there. It was an area which we struggled to get above. As seeing that brief wick there will really just depend on how Bitcoin moves for the day and over the next month as well. Might see if we see continued consolidation on Bitcoin as that Bitcoin dominance goes up, that a lot of these alts will be selling off. All right, we had ZBEC. Never heard of that one. Let's see, ZBEC. Ooh. ZBEC network on OKX. Looks like it's fairly new here. Let's get that to the daily. Looking like a big selling trend here. Let's see if there's something with some more history. Let's see, does this one, that chart's terrible. Let's see, a lot of crappy candles there. I guess we might just have to go off of that one. Let's go on the spot. Looking like a very, very manipulated project here, as you see these heavy wicks to the top side here on the daily as we really try to continue this trend. Might have potential to do some wild moves again, but this looks very, very heavily manipulated here. It's only down BC, says Jesse Gulak. Most definitely. It's kind of hard to do any TA on it. Look at that MACD. MACD completely consolidated. You have to zoom in super hard to kind of get any view on that. It does look like it's crossing, but it does look like it's going to be continuing that downtrend. Volume kind of holding steady. It is a buying pressure, but it's kind of hard to see what any levels might be with it being so manipulated there. Got a massive, massive fair value gap before you really got that downtrend. Let's get it drawn out there. Massive fair value gap. So until you can really get to the bottom side of that, I wouldn't have any confidence in this. All this manipulation kind of worries me as well. So if anyone has any other art requests they'd like me to take a look at, I'm not sure what other levels I can really give for that. 0035 is going to be that first area you would need to get to kind of confirm some uptrend on that. It is heavily consolidated, but it is also heavily manipulated. So I don't know if anyone wants me to take a look at some other alts, but go ahead and drop those in the chat for me. I was taking a look at Link this morning. Let me get back to that chart. As you can see, I was looking for some areas to kind of hold here. Let's take a look at that 1 hour. Get off of the daily. And it looks like we're trying to hold this as some support. It does look like it could potentially lose that level though. Got Pendle requested. XCN as well. All right. XCN and Pendle. All right, got those added. We got Link looking like it could potentially break this strong area here. $19.40. We already got some wicking on it in the higher term time frames before we really try to get back above it and hold it. Got your moving averages looking to consolidate before you get that curve back to the upside, which your oscillators are looking like they might have a little bit of cool off here. Your volume is some slight buying pressure, but your prime oscillator just turned red, getting that curve back to the downside. Your MACD also getting that curve to the downside here on this hourly, which might bode well for another little golden pocket test at that $18.15. You did have that 15-minute also looking like it's getting to that downside trend. Very red on things, getting to the bottom, not flashing any reversal signals or overbought signals, and your MACD just crossed that zero line, indicator line following quite heavily behind. So definitely got some downside movements we could be making on Link for the morning, unless we see some very strong volume coming in as buying pressure. We got Pendle. I don't think I've taken. There we go. Must have hit Ed, but must have hit the M button. All right. Got a fib retracement drawn out here and looking for some platinum pocket hold here on our higher term time frame. Let's see what you've got. Your MACD looking like it's going to run to the upside, hit that zero line cross, waiting for that indicator line to really come up with it as well. Prime oscillator looking like it might need a little bit of cool off, but getting that curvature with some continued movement to the side would just be a nice little cool off. Your volume is very, very, very heavy on this buying pressure as well. Went from this reversal signal down here, where it was nice and red and very low volume, to picking up quite heavily. So trying to find some support here on that platinum pocket at $3.03 before you really continue that move to the upside. Hourly looking like you might get that touchback on your indicator line here, as it is moving quite sideways. Got Army Piper in the chat. Good morning to you, sir. Hope you are having a great day so far, getting that coffee in. Got your prime oscillator with a divergence stacked up here, as you have been making some higher highs on things and some lower highs on your oscillator. Definitely looking like you might see a little bit more of some cool off, as it just went to some light red and tried to hold the platinum pocket here. Let's see what that 15-minute and the morning might be bringing our way. Looking like you might make a little bit of push up here this morning. Just got that cross of our MACD line on our indicator on the top side. Got a bit of a resistance area where you could see a bit of some battling being done at about that $3.20. That's going to be an area that kind of runs from all the way back here. We got that $3.20, which was strong resistance there as well. Let me get that locked on out, and that would be that first little area I would look at trying to get above, especially for the higher term time frames. That would bode well for a nice continued push to the upside. And you've got a lot of quick movement here in this range, which leaves it open to be tested. Let's get that 1 hour drawn back up. Got that 1 hour where we would really need to kind of get that candle touch on that area before we continue that push to the upside. Might see that movement sideways here on this platinum pocket for a little bit before you really get that push back up. Awake minutes just now pouring coffee. All right, we'll get that coffee in there, sir, and catch on up to the rest of us early morning folks. We've been up for a while. I got my workout in, and I got my coffee in, got my protein shake in, and I'm ready to seize the day. All right, we got XCN that was requested. I can do a quick rundown of that as well. Gonna go on Coinbase. It's probably got. Look at that. That's the chart I looked at it on too. I didn't know I'd looked at XCN before. Was looking to try to hold an area down here on a Fibonacci extension where we got a nice wicking action off of. We are sitting at that 1618 of our Fibonacci extension. We really blasted through that 2618 here when we got that big push to the upside. I think I looked at this for Jesse when he was on his whole degen phase. Let's see what we're seeing on the oscillators here. You got your MACD, which just crossed your indicator line here, looking for a little bit of some downside action. You've got your money flow, which is kind of rolling over here, as well as the prime oscillator getting that curve back to the bottom side as your volume is rolling over as well. So if you do see that drop back down on XCN, you've got a nice little area around 02559 where you could try to hold as some support. You got equal candle bodies here. You got also runs kind of all the way back from there where you got some nice wicking action. That'd be that first little area to look to hold if you get some continued downside on this. It does look to be in a bit of a downtrend here, especially on the higher term time frame. You got lower highs, lower lows as well. Looking to kind of break that pattern and continue to the upside. I only want to give the degen segments to the crew. You and me are very different, sir. You and me are very. I just trade Bitcoin. I just basically buy Bitcoin. I've got like 6 whole projects that I hold in total, and that's about it. Those are all utility projects, and I don't do a whole lot else than that. I miss out on some of those degen style gains, but I do all right. If I really feel like taking some risk, I just click that 150x leverage on Bitcoin, and that gives me the thrill I need in life. All right. Thank you to everyone that showed up today. I appreciate every single one of you. I appreciate you for participating in the chat and letting me know when I accidentally hit that M button and muted myself. Hopefully tomorrow we get that mic all set up with the boom arm and it sounds a little bit better for you. Make sure to tune in to the rest of the Piper Academy. I got Piper in chat. He will be going live at 9:30 for the last time, and he will be switching that time to 10 a.m. Eastern time next week, and we'll roll over right over from Alex O Crypto, which I will see y'all at in just a minute. We also have the Trade Academy at 4 p.m. Eastern time, and the last crypto nightcap of the week at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And if Lunar Beaches Crypto is feeling better, we've got Markets After Dark at 11 p.m. Eastern time. Other than that, make sure to trade safe because we do get some job data coming out here shortly. Other than that, wake up because today's going to be a good day.